Hey everyone, as you can see I have my Epiphone SG Muse with me today. I bought this guitar about 7.5 months ago, around the middle of December. When I first got it, I didn't do a full review on it, just a little tone demo and unboxing. Now that I've had it a while, I figured it might be a good time to share my experience that I've had so far with the guitar with you. I wouldn't call this a full term or a long-term review, since the guitar is still less than a year old, but I'd say I'm well past the honeymoon phase. Not going to say anything that's meant to encourage you or discourage you from buying one, just kind of give you some information if you're thinking about getting one or looking at these. To go over some of the specs, it's got a solid mahogany body, it's got a mahogany neck. It's an Indian Laurel fretboard with 22 medium jumbo frets and pearloid inlays. It's got cream colored binding along the edges of the fretboard, and then it's also got cream colored plastics. The tuners are 3 on the side, 18:1 ratio tuners. They're just generic Grover style tuners. The pickups, Epiphone calls these the Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers. The bridge is just a generic Tune-o-matic style bridge. Epiphone calls that a Loctone Tune-o-matic bridge. You have clear speed knobs. You got 2 volume, 2 tone, and then you have push-pull in the volume, each for splitting humbuckers. And then you also have a push-pull in your tone knob for the neck pickup, which is a phase switch to reverse the phase on the neck pickup. And then you also have a 3-way toggle switch. One thing I will say about this guitar that I was really impressed with is the finish on it. The finish on this is fantastic. Not a single blemish or anything at all as far as the finish goes. I know a lot of times on guitars in this, in the sub $500 price range, you kind of expect 1 or 2 character marks, but yeah, there's none of that on this guitar. This guitar is, as far as the finish goes, the finish on this was actually flawless. A couple of things about the setup on it right out of the box. The guitar played really well right out of the box. The action was probably about 2 millimeters. When I did my setup on it, I did actually tweak the action a little bit. I lowered it just slightly. That was just more to suit my preferences. I mean, it was totally playable right out of the box. Like I said, it wasn't any fault of the guitar or the factory. It was just where I like to set my action. And then I did also tweak the intonation, but I think that has more to do with the fact that I lowered the action a little, and I also put lighter strings on it. It shifts with 10s. I put 9s on it. That's what I prefer to play. So because of that, I think that's the only reason why I had to tweak the intonation. Because right out of the box, before I did all that, I didn't notice any sort of issues with intonation. There were a few things, few minor issues that I did come across on the guitar. So why don't I go ahead and show you some close-ups, and I'll go over those with you. Alright, so here's some close-ups of the finish there. Like I said before, the finish on this is just, it's flawless. I have not seen a single blemish or flaw in the finish. They did a really nice job on this finish as far as I'm concerned. There were a few QC issues and a few things I did come across. None of these were a huge deal, and none of these were deal breakers. I mean, heck, even if this was a full-blown Gibson, I don't think I'd really care too much about these minor details. I'm just basically telling you, so in case you're thinking about buying one, something to be aware of. One thing about this is the knobs. Not sure if this will pick up or not, but they do kind of wobble a little when you turn them. There's a little bit of a wobble there. Not a huge deal. The knobs, they feel fine, they work just fine. Just something you may notice. I don't really mess with my knobs too much, so it's not really a big deal. One thing I did come across, this was really more when I first got the guitar, is the 3-way toggle switch. I'd flip it to the neck pickup, and there'd be it would go dead. There'd be no signal. I think there was probably maybe just some corrosion in the switch from it sitting in the factory. I actually got some electrical contact cleaner, sprayed that in there, wiggled the switch around a little bit, and the switch worked perfect after that. It's worked perfect ever since. Never been a huge issue there. And then the fretwork is actually really nice on this guitar. Right out of the box, the fretwork was nice. The frets were a little scratchy, but a guitar, you know, in this price range, you're gonna expect that. That's just the way it is. It's not a huge deal. You can play it in, or you can go ahead and polish the frets. I did give the frets a nice polish when I did my setup, and yeah, it was perfectly fine. And about 4 months in, I did come across some issues with the fret ends. There was a little bit of fret sprout forming. That's something that's common in guitars in this price range, and even high-end guitars, you know, they'll develop a fret sprout. And I know this is something that is common with the Muse series instruments. I don't know if anybody watches Phil McKnight, but he reviewed a Les Paul Muse, and he had a similar issue. For me, it was a real easy fix. I just went and got a sanding sponge. You can get those at any hardware store for like $3. And I mean, I just ran it along the edge of the fretboard. That cleaned up the frets real nice, and that's something I do anyway with my guitars, because it kind of rolls the edges of the fretboard a little bit and kind of makes it a little more comfortable to play, makes it a little bit nicer. And then one minor QC issue I did come across, or I did notice, is the nut. The nut slots, they're cut really nice. They, you know, haven't had any issues with tuning stability or string spacing or anything like that. Guitar sounds and plays great. But if you notice on the nut right by the low E string there, how it's the edge of the fretboard kind of hangs over. Like I said before, not a huge deal, and not really anything to write home about. That's just something that I noticed. Like I said, the string spacing is fine. Haven't had any tuning stability issues or playability issues. It's just like maybe it was cut a little too narrow, and then and so it's just not a big deal. Not something I really care too much about. It hasn't caused any issues with playing. There's just some close-ups with the headstock. You got the pearlite crown inlay and the pearlite. It's actually inlaid in there. The Epiphone logo. There's some pictures of the back there. The tuners are the one thing on the guitar I am thinking about changing. Nothing wrong with the tuners. They work just fine. They hold tune really well. They feel good. And they're 18-to-1, which is actually pretty good for a guitar in this price range. I just prefer locking tuners. I might get a set of hip shots. Just more personal preference than any issues with the tuners themselves. Here's some more look at the finish there. As you can see, the finish on the back of the neck matches the rest of the guitar. I did take the control plate off just to kind of give you a look at what's inside there. Nothing really to write home about. You have your 3-push pull, and then you do have a full-size pot there for your tone knob on the bridge there. And then it does have a cream-colored cover for the control plate to match the other cream-colored plastics. So there you have it. I'll go ahead and plug it in and give you some tones. Alright, so I got it all plugged in. I'll give you some tones on this one here. One thing to be aware of, which is actually pretty common with just about all SGs, well, not all of them, but quite a few are very common with most SGs, is the guitar does have some neck dive. That's just something to be aware of. It happens all the time with SG, and especially SG style instruments. It's just the way they're made. You know, you have a really light body and a heavier neck. Some people will actually correct that just by buying a better strap or moving the strap button up to the upper horn. That is something you can do. But anyways, I'll go ahead and give you some tones on this one here. Here's the clean channel here. Here's the bridge pickup with in full humbucker mode. here's the bridge pickup and with it split. And then here's the middle position with both pickups and humbucker. And then you can split the pickups individually. I won't go through every single tone. There's one thing that's really nice about this guitar is you get a huge variety of tones with all the coil splitting and the phase switch. I'm not going to go through all of them just because it would take forever. But here's what they sound like with both humbuckers split in the middle position. That's actually one of my favorite tones that this guitar produces. It sounds a lot like my Telecaster in the middle position. I think that's probably why I like it. But you get kind of a little bit of that like kind of like that bright Texas blues type of, a little bit of that tone. So that might be why I like it. And then you do also have the phase switch. That's actually most noticeable in the middle position because it reverses the phase of the neck pickup. So that's really what it's meant for, is you have both pickups out of phase then. Doesn't really affect too much if you're just on the neck pickup, but in the middle position is really where you notice the big difference there. You get kind of that quacky Peter Green type tone. And then you can also split them also, and then have them out of phase. I don't really use that tone too much. It's kind of thin and not great. But anyways, here's the neck pickup in full humbucker mode. And then here's the neck pickup split. So there's the clean tones, and then I'll give you some dirty tones also. So yeah, here's the bridge pickup and full humbucker. One thing I really like about this guitar is in the bridge pickup, the pinch harmonics really ring out. You can really get some really nice pinch harmonics. It really ring out, so that's pretty something I really like, especially someone like me who's got a little bit of the Zach Wild syndrome, likes to do the pinch harmonics. But yeah, that's the bridge pickup and full humbucker. Here's the bridge pickup, and with it split, you do get a little bit of the 60 cycle hum with that. That's just the nature of it. You know, it's like a single coil pickup, so it happens. But here's the bridge pickup split. Middle position. And then we have the middle position with both humbuckers split. And then here's the middle position with the phase switch on it. And with the dirty channel, you almost get almost sounds like that AM radio type sound. But here's the neck pickup and full humbucker. And then here's the So there you have it. That's the Epiphone SG Muse. These guys retail for about $430 brand new. The Les Paul versions, they retail for about $500. Like I mentioned before, the main advantages of those is that it actually has the Les Pauls have actual Grover tuners, and then they also have a Tusk nut. Other than that, most everything, like the control layout and everything, is the same on them. My final thoughts and bottom line on the guitar is I love the guitar. I think it's a fantastic guitar. You know, they make guitars so much better than they used to when I first started playing, and $400 just goes way further than it used to. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you have one of these, definitely feel free to leave a comment, you know, telling about your experience, whether it was good or bad. I love this guitar, but it's only one example. I'm sure they can't all be winners. I'm sure there are some bad ones out there. So if your experience was different than mine, definitely feel free to leave a comment. That's it for now. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more.